Okay, so my condition's called Neurofibromatosis, so NF for short, and I've got type 2. So it means that I can grow tumours at any nerve ending. So most common for NF2 clients is acoustic neuromas, so on the hearing nerve, and that's why a big part of NF2 is that people lose their hearing. But I was only diagnosed about 4 to 5 years ago. It's in our family, but because we'd lost contact with my dad's side of the family, we weren't aware of it. Well, I didn't know I had it until 5 years ago, so it didn't really impact my childhood whatsoever. It's only been in the last 5 years that it's...
So the symptoms were just from five years ago, is it? Or?
I had ovarian cancer when I was 16, and so they put my tinnitus down to the treatment for that. But looking back, it's probably been more NF than the chemo. So I had recently split up from my partner when I found out about NF, and I've been very lucky that due to having an operation not even 2 weeks after finding out about it, that he's kind of hung around. He's been my saving grace, really. So I've been extremely lucky. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if I didn't have someone there to help out. I've got an amazing family, but it would be difficult if I didn't have someone at home all the time. It's impacted probably both negative and positive. Negative every day, just the hearing issues, even just going into the shops. Lots of people, they or they hate the self-checkouts, whereas I'm the opposite. Because I don't have to physically hear somebody, I prefer to do that. Working all day long, I go home extremely exhausted because I strain all day to hear what people have been saying. Positively, I think that I have used it to turn the negative into the positive for me. I do a lot of fundraising for the Children's Tumour Foundation. I'm extremely passionate about raising awareness for NF because it's not something that a lot of people know anything about. I think I work in public health, so I kind of always had this perception that it is fantastic. I've certainly discovered the limitations of our health and health service.
What do you mean?
For NF, my dream, and I know this is one of the questions coming up, is a non-stop, a one-stop shop for NF. I want to be able to come to one clinic and see everybody that I need to see in that one clinic and have everybody in a multi-disc team talking about my healthcare, rather than go see the neurologist, drive all the way back to the southeastern suburbs, come in on another day, see the hearing specialist that has no idea why I'm there, why the neurologist has sent me there, go home again, come back in and see somebody else. It's just, there's nobody talking to anybody. So, and if I didn't advocate for my own health, I don't think that I would be as lucky as I am. My brother has been diagnosed, so after I was diagnosed, I've got 2 other siblings and they were encouraged to go and have MRIs, and it was my brother that had the acoustic neuromas, and my sister, she, at this stage, although she hasn't had the genetic testing, doesn't have the acoustic neuroma. She looks like she's clear. And I think for her, I think she has a sense of guilt that she doesn't have it and that my brother and I do. And I think my mum, I feel sorry for her that she feels guilty, although she, had no idea all the way back then when she thought about having children that there was anything like this in the family. So it's definitely hard on her seeing, things that have happened, the operations we've been through.
What else would you say would be the impact, let's say financially, on you and your family?
Financially, especially for me personally, my partner's self-employed, so the amount of time that he's had to have off for operations, for driving me in and out of the city every single time I come into these single appointments, even just the recovery process. My mum's had to take time off. She lives in Bendigo. She'd come down, stay with me when I couldn't, do things for myself, so that Brad could actually go to work. So it's not only me that's impacted, it's my whole family. Well, obviously to not have NF would be ideal. To have that one-stop shop would be fantastic. To have doctors that, even GPs that are aware of what NF is, to have NF roll off the tongue like cancer does. If, every second charity is raising money for, children's cancers and breast cancer, but there's only one single charity in Australia that struggles for funding and people to support them for NF. And yet, so NF1 is quite common. NF2 is not at all. But you would think that people would know what it was and that we would have the same funding. Look, I think in terms of clinical care, you can't fault them. For a public health service, it's fantastic. You trust them with your life, basically. So to that extent, it's great. As far as information, a bit touch and go, I think. You have such little time with your specialist when you go and see them in the clinic that you don't get the information that you need. They're lucky to spend 5 minutes with you sometimes. So in terms of that, it's not great.
So what do you do?
Sorry?
So what do you do in that case? If you feel like you're not getting the information that you want or need?
Obviously, I've got family that are going through the same thing, so talk to them. Forums, the Children's Tumour Foundation, they have a support worker that answers questions that you have. I usually go armed with a heap of questions for my specialist, but I can't say that I get through all of them when I'm there. When you're an actual inpatient, the nursing staff have been fantastic. I think to some degree the specialists have empathy, and I suppose to them they get to go home at the end of the day and there's no NF, so it's very different. I actually had the specialist say to me, "Do you want me to cure NF?" I'm like, "Well, yes, that would be fantastic, but I know you're not going to do that." So they can be quite rude. I think sometimes you're not treated. You're treated as a number rather than a person who is going through these experiences. I think sometimes it's good to control your own health, but then in others it's not.
Sounds like like that for them, they're just clocking on, clocking off.
Sometimes, yeah. But I trust them with my life, though. So in terms of the clinical care, they're fantastic. You certainly can't fault that. Wanting everything, at once. Your inpatient care is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with even the facilities that there is. Not really.
It sounds like if you had a magic wand, it'd be great to have a super clinic for NF.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal, if that's what I'm passionate about doing. Yep, one day I'm hoping that will happen. Yeah, so when I was having a lot of trouble with nerve pain, the specialist actually did refer me to see a counsellor. And although it involved travelling, a long way in to see them, it certainly was worth it. So in that aspect, I think they do try and look after, the whole of you rather than just focusing on, one aspect of your health.
Yeah. And so can you tell me a little bit about the support group that you're involved with?
So the Children's Tumour Foundation, so they are a foundation that look after both children and adults with NF, and they have a support worker. I think they've got it in just about every state now. So you can easily just call them up, and I actually think one of them's based here.
Yeah, she's on maternity leave.
Maternity leave, yeah. Baby was huge.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to phone them up and they know, what you're dealing with. So I think out of everybody, they've been the best help. They kind of understand, what NF is. Out of everybody, they know the ins and outs of everything. Even my local GP, he's a lovely man I've been seeing for years and years, but he still doesn't know a lot about NF. So it's nice that that's all they focus on.
And then that group, you find that access to them, getting information from them, the engagement, it's pretty good?
The foundation, fantastic, yeah. In terms of the support group that I attend with them, unfortunately they're all NF1 clients. I'm the only client with NF2, so that is a bit different. Yeah, so I find that even within the foundation, there is a lot of things that, because NF1 is more common, that a lot of things are focused on NF1, and a lot of things are focused on children. Children get diagnosed early, so yes, they know they've got NF1 from so young, but it's not just the kids that suffer with NF1. They've got to think about the adults as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the attention's going.
Sorry?
All the attention's going to the kids with NF1.
Yeah. Yep. And even things like clinical trials. So there is one that the foundation are trying to raise money for, and it's NF1.
For kids?
For kids. Someone that has the condition is obviously ideal because they're in that situation. They know what you're talking about. But someone that has a little bit of empathy, I think that even if you don't know the ins and outs of something, if you can even just listen to what someone has to say, and kind of take on that burden for a little bit, then that's a job well done. Sometimes I may not want people to fix everything, But it might be just a case of, I'm just having a bit of a whinge today, I need you to listen to this kind of thing. Yeah, and I think that's what's good about the support group, is that even though I may not have a lot in common with them and they don't have a lot in common with me, that we kind of get the whole whinging about health services and all that sort of thing. No, so at my last appointment, my specialist was hoping that, so he's from the UK and there's a clinical trial happening over there for NF2 patients, and he was hoping that it would come here. And it was my hope that I would join that. Otherwise, it looks like I'll go in and have an operation early next year. So we're already over halfway throughout the year, so it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Yeah.
How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Disappointed. This operation could mean that I'll lose what little hearing I have. They want to go in and try and debulk the tumour, so it's got more room to move, but if they slip and cut that hearing nerve, then it'll be gone. So I would rather risk it doing some sort of trial that would obviously, hopefully, let me keep my hearing for as long as I can.